All right. Good morning, everybody. Or it's actually the afternoon. Anyways, hello and welcome back to one of our Healing Touch chiropractic workshops. I am Dr. Lauren. I am here in West Fargo, and I am going to be talking about imperfect parenting and what I wish I would have known with 2 hospital pregnancies. So I'm going to get right into it. And first off, I'm going to start with all of the appointments that they suggest that you go to every so frequently. So at the beginning of pregnancy, you can have the option to go in and have your pregnancy confirmed with either a blood test or a vaginal ultrasound or both. Only with one of my pregnancies did I get the vaginal ultrasound, and I was actually quite shocked by it because I don't think they specify that pregnancy ultrasound at the beginning is going up. It is not over your belly. And that was new from my first pregnancy to my second pregnancy. Also, then from there, so at 20-ish weeks, you have an anatomy appointment. And then as you get closer to the end of pregnancy, the frequency of visits just keeps going up. More frequent. Every 2 weeks is maybe what the highest frequency that I ended up going in was. But what I learned after both of my pregnancies is you can say no to scheduling those appointments. For those of you that don't know, most of what those appointments are them listening to the baby's heartbeat and then taking a tape measure from your pubic bone all the way up to the crest of your belly to see how big the belly's growing. And from a perspective of one of my friends, she had all of those appointments as we just thought we had to do. And her belly kept growing because she had too much fluid in her belly. And her baby had actually stalled. She's totally fine, but it just kind of proved to me that what they do at those appointments is actually kind of pointless. They still didn't catch that the kiddo had stopped growing. And so unless there are actual concerns about whatever it may be, you can say no to those appointments. Or you can go in at a different frequency if you would still like to be seen. You just don't have to go every 2 weeks like they would suggest. With those appointments, sometimes come ultrasounds. And so one of the things that I, again, learned after I was pregnant and already had both of my kids is that ultrasounds can be very damaging to the sweet, fragile tissues of that baby. And especially in like today's world, I feel like ultrasounds are being hyped up as something way more than they are. I've seen tons of people reaching out to private clinics to have additional ultrasounds done. They have the 3D ultrasounds. Honestly, I think there's 4D ultrasounds. I don't know what that means, but they genuinely just want pictures of their baby. And I don't think the risks are worth it. The frequency that ultrasound gives off can alter the tissue of the rapidly growing fetus inside the belly. They can also be very helpful. I mean, especially at the anatomy scan around 20 weeks, they are checking out all of the things. And a lot of things have been diagnosed at that point. But until then, and then even after that, ultrasounds really aren't routinely necessary past the anatomy ultrasound, if even you want to do that. There are plenty of healthy babies that have been born that never received ultrasounds. So again, all up to your discretion on whether or not you want to do one ultrasound, you want to do 2 ultrasounds, you want to do more than that. But again, they're really not necessary, and you can say no. The second or the next thing that I would like to talk about that I wish, this is one of the biggest things that I actually wish I would have known. And that is the vaccines for mom. I have heard a lot lately, like in re-exams here in the office when I am one-on-one with people, sometimes even at the table. Oh, well, I know how you guys feel about this, whatever it may be. In this case, I am talking about vaccines. But even if the 5 of us here at Healing Touch Chiropractic have certain feelings about certain things, our feelings don't matter about what you've done or what you plan to do or whatever it is. We are here to meet you where you are and give you maybe more information than you had at the time, give you more information than you even knew existed. And whether or not you continue to do what you're doing or completely take a 180 and change it, we're here for you. We are a judgment-free office because trust me, I've been there. I have been there. So, vaccines for mom. Let's see, with my first pregnancy, they tried to get me to take the COVID vaccine shot while pregnant, like in the midst of COVID. And I was not comfortable with that. I think they also push the flu vaccine depending on if it's flu season or not. There's any of them, truly. But the one that I was actually most scared of, because I knew nothing about it, was the RhoGAM. So the RhoGAM is meant to prevent the mixture of mom's blood and baby's blood. So if one of them is O positive or A positive or B positive or blood type positive, and the other one is blood type negative, God forbid, if their blood ever mixes, that can be damaging for the next pregnancy. Which they obviously scared me into. But they didn't explain the fact that unless the baby is sliced open and there is blood everywhere from the baby into a cut that can go into the baby's bloodstream, it is actually pointless. So sure, I had 2 C-sections. There are very sharp objects that are involved in all of that, but the actual percentage of babies who get cut themselves in that process is so slim. Obviously, it happened before. They created RhoGAM to help prevent antibodies for certain blood types. But like I've mentioned, we are in a much more modern age of technology and medicine that just doesn't happen anymore. And I believe that was a shot that goes into the butt. And it was, I don't love needles in the first place, but I remember I was at the appointment all by myself. My husband was at work, and at that point, we were still up in the cities, and I had no one else near me. So I just went by myself. I had no one to converse with. They didn't really give me an option to be like, wait a second, can I maybe come back if I feel this is necessary and do my own research? Although if you watched my last workshop, I didn't do much research of anything. I just went with it. I trusted the medical system with everything. So if you would like to do your own research with, truly all the vaccines, but RhoGAM specifically and what its purpose is for and the likeliness of this being a necessary thing, please do. All right. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is those dang glucose drinks. So again, with my first pregnancy, I really knew nothing. I knew more with my second pregnancy, but not enough. So I knew with my second pregnancy to at least ask for the Sprite knockoff, the not colored soda drink, because I was not interested in all the color dyes that are in the orange one. So I asked for the white one, and they were more than willing to do that. But I've also learned that there are other ways and there are completely other drinks that you can do. So I was actually just informed earlier this week that there is a drink that is essentially approved to help diagnose gestational diabetes that you order on your own, and it ships to you, and then you just bring it with to your appointment. So I was like, oh, because I wasn't sure if we had to ask the hospital or wherever we are, but no, you order it and you bring it yourself. So I'm going to do some more research into that, but I am going to share the link in these comments when it is posted, because what a cool alternative. I've never used it, but there are plenty of pregnant women who are using it in replacement of what the hospitals provide, which is really awesome. But back to the gestational diabetes. I had no issues with my first pregnancy. All the tests came back fine, I suppose. But with my second pregnancy, they said that I needed to come back and do the 3-hour fast or the 2-hour fast. I don't know. And as a working mother, I don't have time to do that. But I was still scared that I would develop gestational diabetes and things were going to happen. So I opted to test my own blood sugar, which was incredibly enlightening. We actually, my husband and I think I got my mother in on it too. We actually started to test certain foods that we would test our blood sugar before we would eat. Then we would test our blood sugar again to see really how terribly changing of blood sugar certain foods were. And I think one of our most fun foods was cereals. I had a real good hankering for cereal with my second pregnancy. I was eating it quite a lot as a snack. I was choosing, though, dye-free. So you win some, you lose some. And it was such an interesting alternative that I was not expecting. Whole purpose of that is you can get different options, essentially, from doing the 3-hour fast to just checking your blood sugar on your own. So I now have a whole blood sugar checking kit that I now don't use really ever. But there has been a lot more awareness of testing out the foods with blood sugars. So even when you're not pregnant, something that may be very interesting to educate yourself on is how certain foods that you may eat often affect your own blood sugar. All right, next. Oh boy. I learned about this so recently, and it actually made me so upset. I found out about a new way that hospitals are monitoring babies while the mom is in labor. So, like I've maybe mentioned at this point, my youngest is 2. So he was born in 2023. So I had a 2020 pregnancy and a 2023 pregnancy. Both of those, I had the band, like the monitoring band, where they are monitoring baby's heartbeat. And I thought that was it. I found out that they are now putting screws into the baby's scalp to monitor their heart rate. Supposedly better than the belly bands. If there is anything that you take out of this video, it is that you need to advocate for yourself that they give you the belly band where there is no harm to your baby versus the screw that goes into your baby's scalp. Blindly, may I add. They don't really know. They don't really know where the baby's head is unless it's sticking out of, your vagina. Then they have a good visual on it, but at that point, you don't really need it. I don't have any experience with the fetal scalp. They call it a clip. It's a screw. You can Google it. It's literally a screw. Gross. So awful. So I'm curious if any of you have had this with your kiddo, or if they tried and you asked for the belly band monitoring instead. I am concerned that they're maybe doing that without telling the moms/parents that they're doing it. I mean, it's not like they asked to put the belly band on. They just did it so they could monitor the baby, which makes sense. But when there is a screw going into your baby's head, no. You got to advocate for yourself, which is potentially where a birth plan can come in very handy. It doesn't need to be, I want this music playing with this essential oil because, well, depending on how fast that baby comes, none of that may get set up. What you need in your birth plan needs to be precise, direct, and to the point. Sorry that shook the computer. So that could include no fetal scalp screws. That could include only belly band monitoring. That should include the vaccines that you would like your baby to receive when you are in the absolute chaos of birth. If you've given birth, you know that they sometimes just take the baby. You don't even get to see the baby until it has been measured and it's crying and sort of cleaned up. You can advocate that they will put that baby directly onto your chest after it is born, whether it is via C-section, whether it is via vaginally. Pray to God there's no other directions that can go. But, so I had 2 C-sections, and the second time I advocated for delayed cord clamping, and they did give me the baby. I mean, obviously they were still suturing me up, but they waited a couple minutes and my husband got to clip the cord. They cleaned him up, but brought him right to me. I was quite terrified with my first pregnancy and birth. I don't remember what happened with my first. But the second time I learned what I was wanting and what I wanted from my baby and my family. Back to the birth plan. No fetal scalp screws. Belly band monitoring. The vaccines that you do not want them to give your baby in the chaos of birth, because they may not ask you, which is obviously a problem. Yes, but that's why you need a partner in that room with you who is going to help advocate for you and their baby. You and your baby might not be their baby. They need to advocate. You may not be even conscious, depending on how birth is going, right? You need this partner right here to keep an eye on that baby and what they are doing to that baby. And they need to be bold in case the hospital is not going to listen to what you wish for your baby. That is what needs to be on the birth plan. None of that was what I was told. I was told, I want it to be a vaginal birth. I want to be on all fours. I want the music to be my own playlist. None of that matters in the big scheme of things. It is what they are going to do with you and your baby in that chaotic moment. And the most important thing is that you have somebody in that room to help advocate for what you want. That is it. With advocating, things that you can say no to. I'm just going to recap it because it's really important. Okay? We can say no to ultrasounds, or we can schedule them at different frequencies. We can say no to all of the monitoring appointments. All of them. There are plenty of kids who have been born outside of hospitals ever. Like they've never stepped foot in a hospital. You can say no to vaccines for mom. You can say no to all vaccines for mom. You can say no to some vaccines for mom. You can say no to all vaccines for the baby. You can say no to some vaccines for the baby. You are in charge of your whole birth journey. And if I have scared you out of a hospital birth, I do apologize for that, but there's a reason that this is so frustrating, really, is the word. Luckily, Dr. Mark has put together this incredible booklet of home birth prep. So if a home birth is something that you might be considering or interested in, reach out and we will absolutely get that to you, because that is something that needs to be known. And I don't have the experience of a home birth, so I don't really know beyond what I've seen with, certain influencer pages on Instagram. And they show you the whole live birth of them in their pool with their family surrounding them. Like, it's beautiful. But I'm sure there's more to it than just that. Got to find your midwife. You got to find your birth team. You got to have all the information. And Dr. Mark put that together so beautifully that we can get that to you. There are so many options that I even didn't know existed when I was pregnant. That is what I'm here for. I am giving you all this information, and like I said, we are here to support you wherever you are in your journey, however your journey is going. We are here to support you. So if you have questions, feel free to comment, feel free to message us, feel free to walk into the office when we're here. I mean, we are here to help and support you and really just share our journeys, because everyone has a different journey and they're all beautiful, and they may be full of knowledge and they may be completely lacking of knowledge, just like mine was. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys again at the next workshop.